Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Our Sedra is Beshalach, Exodus chapter 13, verse 17 and following. First, an administrative announcement. I'm sorry for this. Because of the new Apple operating system, Monterey, our taping cuts off before 10 minutes. It just stops. There is no way currently to fix that. We're in touch with Apple. So for the meanwhile, I'm going to tape this for about 8 minutes, stop, and then tape the last 3 minutes in a second taping. I apologize for the clumsiness of this. Trust me, lots of us are trying to figure out how to coerce Apple into fixing their operating system. And of course, the next line in my presentation tonight is, it's going to be a beautiful week. Who knew? Okay, I promise you it's going to be a beautiful week. Yes, COVID is a horrible plague bringing sickness and death to many, many people. I know that. And yes, the John Lewis voting rights bill is bottled up, maybe fatally, in Congress, and Build Back Better was assassinated this week by people who ought to know better what it takes to preserve democracy in our country. I know that, yes. But it's going to be a beautiful week. I promise you. Yes, the Russians are still threatening the Ukraine and NATO, and the Chinese are still practicing ethnic cleansing of the Uyghur people. But this will be a beautiful week. This Shabbat is Shabbat Shira, the very special Sabbath of song. The Sabbath during which we chant the Song of the Sea is found in Exodus chapter 15. Az yashir Moshe uvenei Israel et hashira hazot l'Adonai. Then did Moses and the Israelites sing this song to the Eternal. The song, an ancient poem of victory that includes the phrase, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Who is like you, Eternal One, among the celestials? Majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders. So we begin the week in joyous song. What can that be all about? That's got to be good. The rabbis teach us that all of nature rejoiced at the time of our people's liberation from Egyptian bondage. Even the birds in the sky joined in, adding their voices to those of our celebrating ancestors. So there's a mitzvah here, there's a teaching. We should make special effort to feed birds this week. It's a mitzvah. Don't forget that. And of course, Monday, January 17th, we observe Martin Luther King Day, a day that places heavy expectations before us. But the 17th is also the Jewish holiday of Tu B'Shvat, the 15th day of the Hebrew month of Shavat. So our Tu B'Shvat Seder, of course, will contain references to Dr. King and to his dream, which must become our dream as well. But it will also focus on Rosh Hashanah La'ilanot, the new year of trees, a time when Jews combine a joyous awareness of the magnificence of creation with a powerful demand for all of us, every one of us, each one of us, to become more environmentally aware, more active in defending planet Earth. So it really will be a beautiful week. I promise you. Rabbi Hilly Haver, excuse me, too many tapings, of Central Synagogue in Manhattan reminded me that the Song of the Sea is much more than a song of liberation, because it contains within it verses with some powerful theological statements. Statements that's easy enough for us to overlook. The Israelites leave Egypt. We can guess what? That they were joyous and frightened, awestruck, uncertain, confused. all at the same time. The Egyptians were pursuing them. The Red Sea was before them. But then that sea split, and they walked across. And thus began their march to Sinai, and from there to the borders of the Promised Land. A march during which they would begin setting aside tribal differences and initiate the process of becoming an Am, a people. Miriam and the women picked up their timbrels and they danced and they sang. The words of the song contain the phrase, "This is my God, Ze'eli, and I will enshrine God. This is the God of my ancestors. I will exalt God." How did they know? In the midst of all that was going on, how did they connect what was happening to them to the God who had called out to Avram and to Sarai, "Lech lecha," get out of your land, get out of your birthplace, and go to the land that I will show you? How did they connect what was happening to them to the story of the binding of Isaac, to the story of Jacob wrestling with an angel, or Joseph gaining the skill to be able to interpret dreams? Ze'eli, this is my God, they said, and the God of my ancestors. How did they know? In a wonderful midrash, the rabbis weave an answer. It seems that as the Israelite children were being born in Egypt, their mothers brought the babies out to the fields and entrusted them to God. The rabbis suggested that God took care of the babies, fed them, kept them warm and secure until they were old enough for their mothers to reclaim them, to bring them home. It was these same children who, as adults, recognized God as they crossed the Red Sea. The God who was redeeming them from slavery was the very same God who took care of them when they were infants and who had been present then in the lives of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph. The Israelites, escaping slaves, were leaving what the text describes as a shattered Egypt. They witnessed the agonizing nightmare of the 10 plagues. They witnessed God's defeat of the Egyptians at the shores of the sea. They were singing their victory songs, but, my friends, they were also beginning to make connections. And here is where we will stop and we will resume.